capital management and also an electronic dance music DJ. And for those wondering how the F I got into either, shout out to the CEO of Goldman Sachs, David Solomon. I figured if the CEO of Goldman Sachs, who is a Jewish man and an electronic dance music DJ, can go run one of the best institutional investment banks, then I can be an electronic dance music DJ, fund manager, and a Jewish girl and do it younger and hopefully better. Just saying. I wanted to just jump right into it and let you all know that, again, I'm Alex. I have pervasively intense ADHD. So I apologize that I jump all around. And I just want to give a trigger warning. Finance still does not give a fuck about your feelings. Therefore, if I offend you with facts, data, analytics, statistics, anything that might be quantifiable versus feel, then I apologize. I have decided to invent the anti-social media evaluation contrarian club. Social media evaluation investment contrarian club, anti-social. Because social media investing is just not tangibly a good idea long term. Don't come for me. Let's jump in. China. Let's talk about China because nobody seems to want to talk about China. So let's do it. I told you all last stream that China was going to launch the digital yuan at the Winter Olympics in Beijing. And they did. And I love the caveats that some of the institutions are trying to give as to why their digital yuan's like not really a threat. Million users download the app to be able to use it, and has brought in 8 billion, which would be equivalent $1 billion in revenue. Let's just say revenue. I don't know if that's the appropriate word, but just go with me. And they're saying, well, in the past 6 months, Alipay brought in over $1 trillion. And you just can't compare apples to oranges. Two different things. 29% of Chinese GDP is their real estate market. So seeing Evergrande, Fantasia, Cynic, Chinese property developers, and several others I have in my notes, default all at once, no bueno. Because of course, Evergrande being the most important, being that Evergrande's not been able to pay bondholders back in the dollar, which could arguably, I don't know, affect it. Because when you don't pay back your debt in dollars, I can't help but conjure, and feel free to comment in the C section. I don't know. I feel like really fat right now on this, so I apologize. I'm not. I'm just like in big pants, kind of. I don't know. Not really a flattering. Yeah, China Evergrande. Oh yeah, China Evergrande. I have some cool news about Evergrande and the dollar devaluation. So. And our dollar, bondholders offshore not being able to be paid from Evergrande. However, shout out to another Jewish inspiration who is just another extraordinarily brilliant minded investor, Howard Marks. I have, again, in my notes so we can get the actual terminology, but when you guys see my notes, they look more like a college dissertation if I'd actually completed college. But and yes, he claims ownership in Venice, and let's see what that is the other one. Yeah, Project Castle in Hong Kong. So Venice and Hong Kong. So good for him. Because apparently, believe it or not, Chinese property developers are having a difficult time with the US Treasury bond market, allegedly. Because if you default dollars and don't pay dollar back in debt, that makes sense. Therefore, welcome to the world of private equity fund, right? As an alternative investment fund manager, I could not think of a better goal than to be able to just take a great opportunity, aside for, having to put my feelings aside in the atrocious civil rights issues, which we'll get to now. So speaking of atrocious civil rights issues in regards to China, however, Howard Marks, brilliant contrarian, kudos, great role model, inspiration. Yes. Walmart. For those that are watching that don't know what Walmart is, God bless you. I wish I didn't know what Walmart was, but unfortunately, I'm from America, and in America, we have Walmart. And I do know that they have them in China as well. And sorry, I'm having to adjust this. But China last year in 2021 fined Walmart $50,000, which is essentially like a penny falling out of my purse. But they also cited Walmart for 19 cybersecurity violations. So we got some drums between Walmart, and for those that don't know, let's just say Walmart would be like, I don't know, America's safe haven company. Like, for example, the Federal Reserve bought Walmart debt. Fact check the fuck out of me. Can't make that shit up. Along with, of course, other things. But yes, acquired Walmart debt. So and this was in March, I want to say about March of 2020. If you want to go fact check the fuck out of me, by all means. So Walmart's a big fucking deal. And China doesn't like that Walmart said we won't and don't want to carry products that are made in slave labor, concentration camp-esque situations. And I completely agree. It's a terrible thing. And ironically, our Congress passed so expensive. I mean, like, aside from inflation and the economy and quantitative easing, fancy word for when they print too much money and yeah, all hell breaks loose. But that place, that area where the human rights atrocities are happening in China, just so happened to be where the plethora of cotton is, along with apparel and textile. So China and Walmart drums, no bueno. Also, US banning things from that area are only going to make prices skyrocket even more. Okay, let's continue. Let's go from there to crypto, because while we're talking about the government, let's talk about the government Department of Justice that just seized 3.5 billion in Bitcoin. So in 2016, I got into Bitcoin in 2016. I usually don't say crypto, and Jamie Dimon just recently said he's not going to say crypto. So let's be like him. Jamie Dimon, by the way, is an extraordinarily brilliant-minded man. Another part of TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief Program, helping to handle the 2008 financial crisis. I urge all of you to system so fucking well. I mean, I get why he got like a $20 million bonus to stay at JP Morgan. 3.5 billion from a 2016 hack from the exchange Bitfinex. But in American history, 3.5 billion. But what makes me laugh as an American is only in America does a country say, we're going to go after criminals. Because I didn't see where they seized the money and then gave it to Bitfinex or to any of the people who lost the money in the hacks. Like, nah. And by the way, those people who I'm speaking of are alleged. Everyone is has to be proven guilty. You are innocent until proven guilty. So just wanted to throw that in as a disclaimer. However, in America, only the American government become so self-righteous in their deeds to capture bad guys, they don't feel the need to give the money back to the victims. Sick. Maybe now we can at least use that for unfunded liabilities, pensions, Medicare, Medicaid, and by all means, Social Security. Because let's be real, Daddy Greenspan was right. Privatizing Social Security would be the best idea. Would be, I don't even know now, being that Social Security is supposed to be insolvent by like 2034. Yikes. But let's keep going. So the SEC decided to file charges, press charges. I don't know the exact term, but so I'm going to pull it up so I can directly quote it because I don't want to. Yeah. So there's an exchange called T0, and I'll put my exchanges I use in below. Just shout out to Irisex. Irisex has the lowest trading fees. Coinbase. Again, we don't want to support exchanges that have paid women less and discriminate against minorities. And they quite literally do. Brian Armstrong quite literally has. That's former GDAX Pro. So Coinbase, fuck Coinbase. Irisex is amazing. Bittrex is amazing. Bitrex, I always mispronounce it. OK Coin, fucking fabulous. I can pop influencer codes, and yeah, Kraken. I mean, there's a list of them. So the ones that I prefer, and Coinbase is literally, I'd rather die. Again, don't want to support Brian Armstrong, Jack Dorsey, and Fidelity's fund or lobby. And they put them out a day apart last April. Okay, great. So moving on, T0. So I've never even trading platform over alleged violation of disclosure rules. I have no idea what the fuck that means, but I do think it's important for us to always watch and see what's going on with the chairman Gensler. I do know that when he made a speech at one of those fucking important conferences, which I feel like they have all the time, like there's just too many conferences and too many departments where it's difficult to cut up. So I did take some notations. There we go. I just know I went to Davos this year and it was cool. I got to digitally go just for one of the equitable financial opportunities events. I urge all of you, if you ever get a chance to go to anything, fucking carpe the diem. But he said that fundamental pillar, quote unquote, of achieving the SEC's mission to safeguard investors, he warned financial professionals to think about the spirit of the law. I don't know what the fuck the spirit of the law means. I know that just with an ADHD mind, Spirit Airlines, which I think is like Side Chick Airlines, and I think Frontier merged and it was up 12%, which that doesn't make sense. Why are the airlines up 12% when flights are being canceled and employees are walking off the job and there's people getting sick? That doesn't make sense, does it? See what I mean? Social media evaluation, not a good idea. And Peloton, that's another one that was up today. They fired the CEO, and I love who they replaced it with such a gem. Peloton replaced the guy they fired, and they also fired like 2,600 employees. So you would have thought that stock would have gone a little bit low, but of course not. For some reason, yikes. Going to end well. Somehow Peloton was up 12%. However, I do have to give the homeboy, the CFO of Spotify, connected to Netflix, is stepping up as the CEO. So I guess everyone will be riding their fucking Peloton, streaming music and watching Netflix. I mean, it could happen, I suppose. But nonetheless, yeah. Sorry. Again, like I said, severe ADHD. The spirit of the law. I don't know. SEC scrutiny focused on whether their offerings are securities and whether their high yield products have sufficient investor protections. Well, I respect greatly and would love to debate without dropping as many F-bombs as I'm doing right now. I got some questions, and I know that maybe, well, I guess that this was SEC. So maybe I should go to the Federal Reserve. Okay, Jerome Powell. Sorry. I just want to know, well, then again, it's also, okay, sorry. So last year in the COVID relief bill, I forgot what it was called. There's like a little section where it says that the banks are not required to have reserve cash at all. Not required to. And it's on the Federal Reserve website. So that means that if everyone went to the bank tomorrow and pulled out cash, we're on a fractionalized banking system, meaning if I go put $100 in the bank, they take 90 and are at least supposed to give me 10. Well, now we have like a little fine print that says they don't have to have a damn thing. What could go wrong? FDIC insured up to 250,000, yet they're worried about what crypto exchanges are doing. But then again, I don't believe many people in our government actually read the laws that they're signing or implementing. I really don't. I really fucking don't. So that might be an honest mistake. But again, wanting to know how protected the consumer is, I have questions about why every bank in America that is a Fed preferred bank doesn't need to have a fucking no requirements to have any type of supply at all, like a cash stash, not necessary. Cool, awesome, great. So that's kind of my comment. And again, I have nothing against this. It's just something that came to mind. Um, it's kind of like I get kind of annoyed with what I call like financial hypocrisy. For example, Warren Buffett, who by the way, brilliant investor again, but he's someone who claims to be so anti-Bitcoin, like Bitcoin ew. But like he made a statement about Bitcoin and then that same week invested in Visa the same week that they launched the Bitcoin compatible card. So be very careful when you hear people talk about being anti-Bitcoin or anti-digital assets, because a lot of times, most of the time, probably like 99.9% of the time, there's lots of nuance. I'm sure it's completely innocent, but let's see. I know I had a lot of type of products. They did it kind of stealth. But all right, let's go. Let's keep going. Okay, rate hikes. Why the fuck should we care about interest rates? Awesome. So glad you asked. Well, grab a drink. Rate hikes. They're going to make borrowing money more expensive. Dot dot dot. For you. Maybe for me, but I don't know. It's a fun bit. I'm just kidding. Kind of. But it makes lending more expensive. And when you already have the average housing cost purchasing new home at like $396,000 and the average median income at like $36,000, and you do rate hikes, that could, you guys maybe could use some deductive reasoning to see why that could potentially be a problem. People not being able to afford to, I don't know, purchase a home or pay off credit card debt. There was a survey done where over 40 to 50% of Americans had no idea what their APR and the credit card means. I don't do credit. My partner, shout out Ronnie. Ronnie is amazing, you guys. Literally, he's so brilliant. He doesn't even realize how brilliant. My partner learned to 2FA cybersecurity and the ability for us to go digital. My fund operates fully digital when it comes to digital asset management, meaning no third party needed, no bank needed. Goes in and like, what, WTF, and then you get that like embarrassing feeling like that you're broke. And no, you don't have to go through that. Or if you've been someone like myself, I've literally been denied service at a Wells Fargo and called a kike. That was fun. I got to write to corporate. That person no longer worked at that Wells Fargo anymore. However, wearing the Star of David, has gotten me based on the ability of decentralized finance, peer to peer, no third party needed. Okay, but back to what I was saying with interest rates. I would just bring up something. So Americans is a consumer economy. 70% of our GDP is consumption. So I am someone who is ADHD. I also have PTSD, CPTSD. I've struggled with suicidal ideation. So basically, like I've had this severe mental metamorphosis in the past, like 10, 5, 10 years that money doesn't fix shit. Therefore, I don't really place such a value of impressing people that I don't even know. And then I'm just too lazy because I have lupus to care with the ones I do know. So ironically, I enjoy making money because I just like digits on a screen and I'm weird and I like math and I like strategy, but I don't like money in the essence of materialism. So back to that credit. So we have October, November, December of 2021. Let's see how we did, America. Credit card balances increased by 52 billion to 860 billion, the largest quarterly increase in the 22 history of data. Way to go. So we got 1 trillion in trade deficits. We're just breaking records left and right, every single one of them, which is absolutely atrocious. But, I guess go big or go home. I mean, we have $30 trillion of government debt, $1 trillion trade deficit. And now we have a record $860 billion increase of credit card debt. The average household debt went from 333 billion to 15.58 trillion. Awesome. So my last stream, and even before then, I conjured that in 2019, when the Feds lowered rates for the first time in a decade, to July 30th and 31st, that they were going to drive up consumer spending and corporate lending, drive up debt as best they can, really hike that really, really drive up debt, and then hike the fucking rates like, again, Elon Musk sending a rocket on SpaceX. And it looks like I'm probably correct because based on those numbers and the worst January report we've ever had, we've gone from Steve Jobs to no jobs. And about 200 and something thousand people weekly filing first time jobless claims. And so we're looking at March rate hikes, probably not going to be much, 0.25, maybe 0.5, based on the fantasy financial analytic numbers that are coming out of thin air. I don't know. Because again, we've gone from Steve Jobs to no jobs. We have 100 million people not in the labor force. We have 42 million people on food stamps. This just will not fare well because we're not improving. And if you are improving and you have, then let's, we can talk about inflation as well while we're at it. Let's talk about stagflation because it's something that no one ever talks about, but they do conjure a seven rate hikes. I've seen the banks throw the numbers around. I personally believe if I were Jerome Powell at this point, just let the fucking market crash. Just let it crash, please, because I would rather it crash and then I would continue to be a Photoshop version of Venezuela in relation to inflation. So stagflation is an environment characterized by slow economic salud nostrovia economic growth and relatively high unemployment, which is usually accompanied with inflation. And then we have shrinkflation too, which is we're buying more and getting less, which I'm sure if any of you have bought anything or gotten food or anything, you've noticed that the packaging's got a little smaller. Yeah, that's called shrinkflation. So that's where we are. That has half of the world's grain supply. Again, fact check the fuck out of me because some of this stuff sounds like I'm just lying. And so, what do they know that we do not? And why isn't America talking about that? I think if we want to talk about Russia, for example, we can talk about Russia and the saying if we're going to talk about Russia, let's really make it relevant as to what China is doing, which is devaluing the fuck out of our dollar by from Evergrande, the second largest property developer in the world, not being able to pay bond but it's the digital yuan. You know, even though Alipay brought in $1 trillion, okay, that's less. Okay, great. You know, if you guys are tracking with me, we're also ending a long-term debt cycle, 50 to 75 years. And I do not know or have faith that the dollar will be our world reserve currency. I think we need to back it. And by the way, I did see something fun. I did see a dollar bill that has gold in it. Google it. It's really interesting. I wouldn't mind owning one. It's not from our, it's a private currency. And yes, that exists. Private currency. So just go to Google, Google private currency gold, and it's got like specks of literal gold in it that's been denominated to like $3.14. So you could actually use it as a Tinder method. And Venezuela, I know, is putting a 20% tax on Bitcoin. Just random fact off the top of my head. I feel terrible for the people of Venezuela, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And on the Pernifis in the Santa Street. And so, yeah, I just wanted to get on, discuss that, and really, really hone in on China and the existential threat from property developers defaulting on the dollar and not being able to access treasure. Of course they're not, but they're going to be able to access private equity. And so, yeah, I want to know you guys' thoughts. And also, okay, before I go, let's talk about my baby, my love, my passion, Bitcoin. I think the reason that I've done well with Bitcoin is because it's as crazy as myself. It's as volatile as myself. It can be stagnant and chill. And it's just like a woman, ladies. We tend to be a little bit more complicated than we want to lead ourselves on to be. And we are volatile human beings. It's just how we are. And I think my volatility, my personality definitely relates. However, I despise that my Habibi, my Bitcoin, is trading linear to the stock exchange, specifically tech stocks, being, I believe we are in a parabolic bubble. I was way too young to know what about 1999, but I've read enough to conjure that we're probably going to see something like that happen again. And I don't like that we're trading linear to the New York Stock Exchange. Now, Bitcoin can be a great hedge against inflation. I have strategies, and that can be another conversation for another day. However, it is illogical to say that Bitcoin is an inflation against traditional equities, stocks, and regulated securities, because it just simply fucking isn't. And so if it's going to trade linear to the tech stocks, then and so I personally believe the Ides of March are upon us. I'm not sure how long this can last. I mean, if you look around, again, drop in the C section if you're better off than you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and drop in the C section if you believe that we're not. Well, even if you do, yeah. Tell me if you agree or disagree. Are we headed to the greatest depression that we've ever fucking seen ever? Like, I personally believe so. I mean, that means we have to be prepared mentally, spiritually, emotionally, fiscally. That as I look at you all as friends, and I love my friends and I want the best for everyone. So take every moment, day to prepare, because this is not going to be pretty. I mean, gas, and by the way, I told you guys on the first stream, I'm predicting oil to go to 100 a barrel. We're in the 90s now. So, I wish I were wrong, but in this case, not so much. But bisu, besu bachi, anahabek shatim te amo. I love you all. It's so fun to articulate. I love you guys' feedback. So let me know. And again, if, oh yeah, and congratulations, Orga Oshi. We have our, so he can talk to you guys. We have our first programmer, and he is out of India, which is very exciting. So minority founded fund and minority run fund. So I'm excited. So projects that I've been wanting to develop, programming, etc. We have a full stack developer. So I'm super stoked about that. Let me know what you guys are working